我们伟大来的，我们是中国现在，China now. Friend or foe, war or peace. With your gang of two, Nan Su, senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and Michael Olson, who could have been a China hand at one time in his life, but was dissuaded from being one by the great helmsman himself, Chairman Mao. So, Nansu, a quick question before we take off on these incredible stories, starting with Japanese election. Do you think Xi Jinping is in political trouble as so many seem to assert, at least looking from the United States to China? Do you think that Xi Jinping is in any kind of political trouble for the arrest of Zhang Youxia?
He has certain difficult times to convince everybody. Now, that's all I think so. But I don't think he's in a big trouble. That's what happened, and also, since they doing this process, that little early on to make it public. So, the in is it, to me, it basically tells me that they had a hard time to push forward the investigation, right? So then, they need to, once they make this in public, then all the people possibly will be investigated in this process. They will look at all these public opinion, not a public opinion, all these articles published by the state-owned media. Then they may, they may talk to each other. Maybe they all belong to Zhang Youxia's faction. They will talk to each other, communicate to each other in the way they can, they will make themselves avoid trouble for themselves. So that's why I think that they don't want to talk too much on the media. This investigation is still going on. So in China, and so everything it's so uh there's no transparency. So
Exactly.
therefore, that's what's going on. And then they also trying to uh you know, there's a lot of rumors going on, which the rumors even say, oh, you have all this military coup that's going on, and the military rebelling already happened, which is just the totally wishful thinking. I mean,
Why is there so much wishful thinking?
well, people want to see Xi Jinping die. Me too. I mean, me too. I want to see Xi Jinping go away. But
But the danger of that wishful thinking is,
the danger of that wishful thinking is it will distract us from our effort to strengthen our military. Our military, need a critical help, and we don't have much time before the war that's going to take place, and to make that effort. It's very, very important for us to focus on, build up our military strength, and not to spending our time on these wishful thinkings. And we have been wishful thinking for decades. We first wishful thinking that after we make heavy investment in China, we will change Communist Party. It's like we try to bribe the CCP to change, which didn't happen. You
well,
know,
it did. We bribed them. They made lots of money, but it didn't change them a bit, did it?
Well, see, that's the problem, right? We lost all
We gave away all our money.
we lost our industry. We deindustrialized ourselves and industrialized a very, very strong CCP regime, a communist regime, our biggest enemy in history. That's what we did, all because we had a wishful thinking. We can not continue that kind of a path
That's right.
anymore. That's why
Well,
I'm trying to emphasize, hey, quit wishful thinking. It's not that easy. Let's focus on the investment of our military and make sure those, men and women in military service, the patriots in the military, make sure they're better equipped, they're better trained, and they're fully ready. I don't think
because it's
we're ready.
coming. It's coming.
I don't
Eh,
think we're ready. So let's just focus on that instead of talking about all these wishful thinkings.
All right, fair enough. That's the message from Nan Su, who's been looking at this. Boy, I probably even when you were living in China and in part of the Chinese military, I bet you were thinking that that was the case. Do you remember when the apple fell on your head and you changed your mind about the CCP?
The first time I start changing my mind about CCP, it's just not long after I came to United States. I came here like little bit over 5 months, a little bit shorter than 5 months, I think. After the Tiananmen Square massacre, right? I came here before, right? I came here in the end of January in 1989, and then it came the Tiananmen Square massacre on
So
June.
you were in the United States
Yes,
when
yes,
Tiananmen Square
where it
happened.
happened, right?
And
I
these
came
these
here.
people that were being shot, run over by tanks and such in Tiananmen Square were your contemporaries.
Right. So they were the pro-democracy students, were crashed by the tanks, right? That was sent to the Tiananmen Square by Deng Xiaoping, the second generation leader of CCP. So that was I was shocked, you know. So I was start thinking, oh, this is something never done before, and then it just happened in front of my eyes. There are a few days of actually limit of certain extent of uh, uh, media coverage provided, because the top leadership circle of the CCP was in a power struggle. They tried to remove the Secretary General, Zhao Ziyang at that time. So therefore, they didn't. They were so therefore, they allowed the CNN and then the other international media actually covering the event. And so that's how how I saw the report from here, sitting, in my in the place where I live, and then watching the TV and saw the whole process, the
Did you
tenement.
see the Tank Man?
Yeah, yeah. Oh
That
no,
was
yeah, I saw the Tank Man. Yes.
the Tank Man.
Now,
I think was this. I still have a photograph of the Tank Man on my
right,
wall here. I
right.
think
So
it's the single most incredible photograph I've ever seen of human struggle.
yes, so therefore, that was the time I joined the very first protest in my whole life. And then we went to San Francisco, standing in front of a San Francisco Chinese Consul General to gen, Consular General to protest. That was the very, very first time. And then it also was also very first time in my entire life that we yell in the parade, in the protest, against the Chinese Communist Party, um, and then was also the very first time I made a donation for any political purpose, which is anti-communist party purpose. In so so I remember, that was the very first time, I started thinking, oh, this is the regime, this is the regime just really bad, right? So Well, that was that's how I remember.
There it is, and that's what really changed your mind. I guess my change of mind was much more gradual because I was totally gaga with China and with German Mao, but it was only through the gradual assimilation of information seeping out of China during the Great Cultural Revolution that I realized that a contrarian such as myself could never live in a place like China. It just wouldn't survive.
It's true. Well, those everybody pretty much need to go through this process in the. It's a gradual process,
But
right?
we're trying to speed it up, right? So
Yes,
we can go
yes.
about the business of building a defense against this juggernaut that Xi Jinping is building. And so we'll continue with our stories, but thank you for that self-reflection and really helps us to understand where you're coming from and I guess where I'm coming from too. Um, at any rate, let's turn to the Japanese election because there's some good news there. Uh,
Yep,
because
absolutely.
it was on February 8th, Japan had an election with a sweeping victory for Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi and her Liberal Democrat Party. Now, wait a minute. Is this Liberal Democratic Party the same as the United States Liberal Democratic Party?
Of course not. That's the name, the formal name, all right? That's well, you look at Japanese culture. Japanese culture, they are overall they are much conservative than any other Western countries here in the North America or in the Europe, right? So Japanese society is a pretty conservative. So
Mhm.
they are liberal. They are a little more liberal from the conservative side. That's what it is.
And probably they would probably be Republicans. The Japanese Liberal Democratic Party would probably be considered Republicans here
Well,
in this.
I wouldn't try to just label them that way. There's no comparison.
No comparison.
Yeah, but
Okay.
just go. Let's just focus on what they think, how they deal with the issues, instead of
Okay.
try to label them. It's a totally different environment, and in Japan comparing with in the situation in United States. Just
Okay.
just well, let's just focus on the issues instead of
Okay.
labels.
Well, one of the interesting thing about it is that she's often been compared to Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady of Great Britain, for her conservative positions. And but the thing about this election that was very interesting, according to people who observe Japanese politics, was that the Chinese Communist Party's diplomatic intimidation, military pressure, economic coercion, and influence operations, which are tactics long familiar to the people of Taiwan, stirred Japanese public sentiment to defend its national dignity. Many voters, they say, cast their ballots for Takaichi and the LDP as a way of protesting Chinese external bullying. So Xi Jinping set his dogs loose on Japan, and the Japanese people resisted that by overwhelmingly voting for Takaichi.
Yep, that's it. It's good. As Takaichi, it's an Iron Lady in the Northeast Asia, which we need her help. We need to we have a lot of military U.S. military people in service in Japan right now. If they are soft, if they have like a handshake situation with the CCP, that's not good for our military. I have a lot of concern to what's happening in South Korea.
South Korea, yeah. What
Yeah,
the heck?
and but it's a blessing that we have her leading the Japan, and it's a blessing we seeing that in this election that the Japanese public, the voters, are supporting the effort to make a very strong Japan, in the defense, uh, uh, in the def in the aspect of defense,
National
national
defense,
defense.
yeah.
So
Hopefully,
that's good. Takaichi is talking about constitutional amendment so that they can, because they used to have a limit, right, of national defense, because they lost World War II. They're kind
yeah.
of still in that position. So because there were certain limits being put in the Constitution that they have to, they cannot spend more than 1% of GDP. Now, in which is not good. They need a strong defense. They need to spend a lot more. Now, in 2022, Japanese or legislature actually passed a legislation to double the military spending. They plan to use 5 years from 2022 to 2027 to double. In that 5 years, they can spend up to two. They want to increase from 1% to 2%. So then
Right.
2027 they can spend 2%. But still, there's no constitutional amendment. After that, are they going to still keep spending 2%? Can they spend more? Still a question. So the Constitution still written in the way they can only spend 1%. So Takaichi openly talk about they want to remove that, the limit in the constitution. And also they want to remove the constitution. Very importantly, it used to be okay, a limit in the constitution says uh, Japan will never possess, never manufacture, and never allow uh,
Nuclear weapons.
nuclear weapons. So they want to at least remove one of these limit.
Hmm.
So basically, for the purpose to allow the United States to, place the nuclear weapons into Japan. So they want to make that. That's very, very important. An amendment, very strong, take very strong leadership in this changing environment in the era of unstable, of the peace and humanity. Everything is just everything of our lifestyles being put on the stake. So it's a blessing to have her basically.
Maybe she will have an impact on the citizens of South Korea. Maybe she will show them the way. Because,
Well, South Korea need to make their own decision.
yes,
South Korea need to make their own decision. But the problem is, I'm more worried about our military people in South Korea. If they're not ready, and if there is anything happen, there's like a battle that takes place, military conflict take place in between North Korea and South Korea, and then then the process doesn't make good decisions. So
that's right.
we're going to suffer a lot of military loss
Well,
for our.
quick question. If Xi Jinping invades Taiwan, will Kim Jong-un invade South Korea?
It may or it may not. We don't know. But that's been openly discussed for many years until now. That in China, the perfect timing for the CCP to invade Taiwan, it's if there's three other conflicts happening around the world. Number one conflict is between Russia and
Ukraine,
European countries,
right?
and that's already happening in Ukraine. Um,
Or
now,
Middle East.
and then Middle East, and number three is the Korea Peninsula, right? So Now it's possible, I think Kim Jong-un will do something, try to distract U.S. attention from Taiwan. Now, now it's very much possible.
Hmm. Well, in that regard, so we have one hot war going. We have a simmering war in the Middle East. And in that regard, you have a piece on Iran to the center stage and the impact of Iran on China, Russia, and global geopolitics. So, and just recently we hear where President Trump is thinking of sending a second carrier strike force to the area. What is happening in Iran, Nansu?
It I think the U.S. government is still in the process of negotiating with Iranian leaders, and also it's similar to remember how many months they are doing wherever the military exercise or sanctioning the Venezuela. They do it several months, right? They're waiting for the opportunity to happen, right? To
Now,
make that,
they being the United States.
yeah, the U.S.
Okay,
military, right?
and waiting for a moment to what? To do what?
To arrest the Maduro, right?
Ah, so you
They,
think we might be arresting the Ayatollah?
I'm not sure what they're going to do, but
Okay.
even they want to, just say make a military attack, they still need. It's harder, for the military operation that, send our military people to go there to really do a full-scale war, right? How long it's going to last, if we are dragged into that kind of situation, our military, forever staying in Iran, you know, it's a long process, right? But then we lost our focus in the Western Pacific. That's the most dangerous part of the world. So I think that's we probably going to need it's a mission that's going to be like a quick in and quick out, not to be
So
dragged.
kind of like a Venezuela-like strike.
Venezuela, right? But
So,
but in order for that kind of things to happen, you need a perfect opportunity,
right?
right?
And
That opportunity doesn't happen, every day. It probably happen. I don't know. Basically, we're fully ready. We have to,
well, I
for
think
the
I think Venezuela was made possible by the pure fact that the Venezuelans didn't think it was going to happen. And
That's right. And
so
Iran, that's why in Iran it's more difficult, right?
yeah,
Because they
because they
already
know it
saw
can
what.
happen, right?
Yeah.
So
So
what is Trump negotiating with Khomeini about? I understand that Trump wants the nuclear program gone
that's right.
and the missiles gone.
Right. And
And Khomeini does not want to give up his missiles.
yeah, Khamenei doesn't want to get rid of I think both at currently, right?
Yeah, well, he's negotiating, but
Yeah, it's
I don't think he
negotiating.
wants to give in on anything.
Right. They have not admitted of giving up anything yet. And also Trump publicly saying they want the shooting in Iran be stopped, right? So
Yes.
then that's kind of our humanitarian support to the pro-democracy movement, in Iran. So,
Well, Trump kind of made the promise, help is coming. I'm coming.
yeah,
We are coming.
we are there now. We are there now.
We're there
Yeah,
now.
yeah, we're there now. But uh, uh, I don't know how long the process will take, but we're just waiting for while at the same time the negotiation. Remember, there was a negotiation between United States government and Venezuela government prior to the arrest of Maduro, right? I think
Hmm.
he was offered by the U.S. government an opportunity of living in exile in Turkey or somewhere,
Right, right.
right? But he didn't take the
They
opportunity.
did not take Trump seriously.
Right, right, right.
And
So
now I'm thinking maybe Khomeini is taking Trump seriously, but doesn't
and
know
I
what to
think
do.
Trump will probably offer him and some sort of opportunity of living in exile, either in Russia or maybe in Beijing. Have him just walk away so that the process will become a little easier. And I think at least currently we don't see that kind of agreement from Khamenei, and Khamenei kind of a still stubborn, because it's a religious.
Death to America, death to America.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
yeah, yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask Nansu what impact our kerfluffle is have with Iran is having on Russia and China. Because China was banking on a good war there to keep us occupied. Is it having an impact on China? So this is China Now. Do stay tuned. We will be right back after these messages.
There is more than one way to enjoy the benefits of cannabis. Hi, I'm Carly from Treehouse Dispensary 3651 Soquel Drive, Soquel. With gummies. Treehouse gummies come in many tasty flavors. Can pick you up for a Sunday walk or lay you down for a good night's sleep. And Treehouse has a friendly staff to help you select the right gummy for your needs. Lemon mint, anyone? Stop by and say hi, Treehouse Dispensary 3651 Soquel Drive, Soquel. Or visit us at
ourtreehouse.io.
California coast to the fertile valleys inland. Earthwise Land Services, your land's best friend. Earthwise can clear it, mulch it, move it, sculpt it, grade it, drain it, or retain it, any way you choose. Earthwise Land Services, your land's best friend.
Hi, I'm Carolyn, and I have some property behind my home at Larkin Valley that I've never seen. It was completely overgrown with brush and poison oak, well over 10 feet high. I wanted to have it cleared to protect my horses from wildfires, but nobody could do the job. Then I called Buck at Earthwise. Buck brought out his big brush-eating machine and turned all the brush and poison oak into mulch. It was truly transformational. Thanks to Earthwise, my property is now like a park and I can trail ride my horses.
Earthwise Land Services, your land's best friend.
Please continue to hold, and he will answer your call in the order in which you'd like to see.
That won't happen at Low Cost Air. When you dial 800-704-1662, a real person answers and helps you find the best airfares, foreign and domestic. Your choice.
Please continue to hold, and he will...
Or a real person. Low Cost Air, 800-704-1662. Low Cost Air, 800-704-1662.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, President Donald Trump is arming up in the waters surrounding Iran and having a negotiation with the Ayatollah Khomeini. Will that negotiation bear fruit, or who will it bear fruit from or with? Now, I'm curious to know what kind of impact our standoff with Iran is having with China and with Russia. I've heard that Iran is no longer going to be sending its drones to Russia, which would be a huge blessing for Ukraine. Have you heard that, Nansu?
Not yet.
Not
Russia, right now, because think about that. It's been a few years, ever since the invasion take place, right? So, in the beginning of the war, I don't think Russia actually had realized, both Russia and Ukraine did not realize the drones can take such an important impact. The technology of drones can take such an important impact to the current warfare, right? So they're kind of like in the past few years, they're kind of getting to the position of manufacture drones. I think Russia right now have a tremendous, its own tremendous capacity of manufacture drones now. So they may, they probably don't need much help Iran anymore. Uh, but they still need a tremendous help from China to to import the parts of drones that's considered, in many different scenario, it's considered military and civilian, um, dual purpose, that kind of things.
Right.
So China is still giving a lot of those parts to Russia. I think, it will be fool if we think those parts given by China to Russia are the purely civilian purpose. I think a lot of them, they just call it military and civilian use. I think a lot of them it's purely for for making the drones for military purpose only.
Sure, of course. And as long as China can keep Russia fighting Ukraine, it makes it a lot easier for China to look toward invading Taiwan
That's
and
right. That's
everywhere
right.
else in the South West Pacific. And then what about China? Now, is Trump allowing Iranian oil to flow to China, or has Trump put sanctions on Iranian oil too?
Yes, it doesn't. Well, we start that, the U.S. government start way early, right? That trying to stop to try to sanction Iran, basically, to cut off the export of Iranian oil. I remember there's one famous case that's in 2019, of December. I'm not sure, maybe 2018 or maybe 2019 December. U.S. government, through the help of Canadian government, arrested Meng Wanzhou, the daughter of Huawei. You know,
Right,
uh,
right, up in
the daughter
Canada.
of Huawei's CEO, right?
Yeah,
Remember, but she was indicted in the charge, funneling money to Iran because probably there was some, the money back and forth between Iran and China, right? She established some sort of a company, white glove operation, cover up the money, operation in between Iran and China, right? So that was a one, and then it was just like, I'm not sure if it's the last month, probably, or maybe December. The U.S. Naval Force actually stop a ship of a shuttle ship, the ones that turn off its transponder,
right,
and
right. Ghost
in the
ship,
south,
I think they're
the
called.
ghost
Right.
ship in South China Sea,
Yep.
and they put, that I think, I'm not sure what kind of things, it's a ship that's going towards to Iran and from China. And then U.S. basically, what they did was they let go the ship eventually, but they push everything into the ocean, right? Everything on the ship, they just push it into the ocean. That's it. Let it stay there. Um, so yes, the Iran. It's we have been sanctioning Iran, but in the past, we have a limit with how much we are doing. That I think now it's in full force.
Okay. So that would indicate that China is having two sources of oil squeezed, one being Venezuela and the other being Iran.
It's
So,
true. It's
so,
true.
that would indicate some trouble too, because China is the huge importer of oil. That country lives on oil.
Well, not that cut off the oil supply, but cut off a cheap oil supply.
Cheap oil. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because oil is an international market, right? The China can get it anywhere else, but the problem is if they get it from anywhere else, so without the countries without being sanctioned, then they have to buy it with with a
At
normal price,
market prices. Yeah.
market price, while they need, China need to spend more money. That's just a less important part. The more important part is if Iran cannot export their oil, and it's harder for Iran to sell oils to anybody else, and then because it's been sanctioned, right? So
Right.
therefore, it cut off the economic resource for the Iranian regime. So I think
Okay.
that's more important.
Good. Well, let's look at another chunk of the world, and this part that being in the Americas here in Panama. The big news out of Panama at the end of January. Hong Kong-based C.K. Hutchinson's Holdings concessions to operate ports on the Panama Canal has been ruled unconstitutional by Panama's Supreme Court. That's a very big deal because that was the Chinese Communist Party's essentially owned both ends of the Panama Canal via Hutchinson Holdings. And Hutchinson sold its holding to a consortium of businesses led by BlackRock, the infamous BlackRock. But China has been fighting that piece of business, and the Panamanian Supreme Court says, you're done, to the Chinese Communist Party in Panama. Big deal or no big deal, Nansu?
Well, it's a very important step forward that seeing that these countries in the Latin America as well as South America start working with the U.S. government. I think that's very important to stabilize our backyard here in the in the American continent, the Western Hemisphere. Remember, we talk about that the Monroe Doctrine.
The
It's
Donroe
the
Doctrine now.
Downroad Doctrine now, right? That's an important step forward, and then these countries start working with the United States. Uh, Now, I want to go back to a little bit to Iran.
Okay.
Uh, let's talk about the geographical importance of Iran to China and the world. Um, if you look at the
Middle East oil, right?
yeah, yeah, not just the oil. It's not just the oil,
Okay.
right? Now this new rising regime, the Eurasian continent, rising power, central around China and Russia, as well as Iran and South Korea. I'm sorry, North Korea and Iran, and my Iranian regime and North Korea regime, that they are the secondary, right? In the axis,
Right.
the top two countries are China and Russia, right? Now, geographically, if you look at the new rising axis, the new power of your Eurasian continent. Now, you look at the geographically, China and Russia, Russia all the way, to Ukraine, right? But on the south side of Ukraine, what do you see? That there are five Central Asian nations,
The stands.
the stands, right? Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, those stand countries. Now, those five, they call it Central Five Asian nations, right? And then there's a couple more stand, that's like Afghanistan and Pakistan, right? So now, these five countries, they're kind of like heavily under the influence from Russia and
Yeah,
Beijing.
they were always Russia.
Now, but however, on the western side of that central five, of that central five stand countries, that's Iran.
Yeah.
So if right,
No, eastern side.
western side, it's Iran. These five countries
Oh boy, I better look at
on the
it.
eastern side
Better
of
look at it.
Iran. They are on the east side of Iran, basically between Iran and China. That there are these five stand countries, and also plus that Afghanistan and Pakistan. Really, between China and Iran, it's basically the two countries, that's Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then that five stand countries are on the north side of Afghanistan, right? But however, those countries, they basically all the way pretty much
Okay.
on the east side of Iran too, right?
Right in the northeast side. Yes.
Right. Now, if the this newer Asian continent power, under the leadership of China and Russia, if they lost Iran, that will means, we push our influence all the way from the west side border of Iran, to the east side border of Iran directly, we can have kind of influence into those geographically, into those five Central Asian countries,
Yeah.
right?
Very
And
much so.
Iran,
Yeah.
yeah, and Iran is a very important part of the new Euro-Asian continental power. That because China and Russia really using Iran as the forefront uh, pawn that projected their influence to the Middle East, like
Yep.
Saudi and
Mediterranean
yeah,
region.
yeah,
Yeah.
and all these countries, right? And so on the western side border of Iran, that's the border between Iran and Iraq, right?
Yep.
And then cross the Iraq on the west side of Iraq, there's Lebanon and Jordan, right? And then a little bit further, there'll be Israel. So you can see this is the area that's geographically important for this for the two sides. So Iran is very important for China and Russia to stabilize the central five Asian stand countries. I remember in 2023, all the leaders of these all five stand countries went to China. They had this so-called C plus C5.
Right.
C is China.
Xi put on a big show for them too.
Yeah. Each of these all these five small nations together, they got they got like a 26.2 billion yen, I'm sorry, 26 billion yen from China. So each country took like a 5.2 or 5.3 billion yen from Xi Jinping after they joined this summit with China. C5, that's the C5.
China plus 5.
China plus 5. C5 it means Central Asia country 5, right? So and C plus C5 it's China plus Central 5 countries in Central Asia, right? Central Asia 5 countries, right? So that's how much money Xi Jinping invested into these five nations. Each country actually just took, more than 5 billion yen through that summit from China. So it's very important for China and Russia to stabilize their area and then also
So it would be similar to what we're trying to do with the Americas, stabilize our backyard too.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So that's important. And so you can see, but Iran is there. It's serving a very one important piece, between the backyard of China and the Middle East. Iran is right at the center of that. So Iran is very important for this geopolitical power struggle and for the
Yeah,
safety.
and those are the stand countries are all landlocked too.
That's
So,
right.
so they have no access to the sea. And so I guess it's hugely significant to the axis of the evil that Iran stays bad.
Right. So I think that what's happening in Iran it's good, and then I think Trump administration now it's making the approach in the way of take care of this easy target first, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the most critical ones too, which is our backyard.
Right.
Um, uh, Other things happening around the world that bear in on all of this. Australia is going to retake Darwin. Evidently, China bought the port of Darwin, Australia. Is that true?
They had
Leased it,
they had a leasing agreement for 99 years.
99, which is
99 years, right? So that's a very important step for Australia to take that port, back. Just like we try to take back the ports
of Panama.
operation in Panama.
Yeah.
Uh, again, I think I want to revisit the Iranian issue.
Okay.
Um, Now think about this: the Middle East. If there's anything happening in Middle East, there will be enough. There will be great opportunity that we see the political turmoil in the Western world. Now think about this. All these, during the Hamas and Israeli war, after the October 7th attack, right? There's a lot of political protest taking place in the Western worlds. The uh, anti-Semitism
Right.
and and also now anti-Semitism or all those people they're not just saying supporting Palestine, they're openly saying they support Hamas.
Yeah.
That's
Where did
right.
that come from?
And the money supporting all these operations are from China, right? We
Yeah.
talk about the Nobel
Neville Singh.
Singham, right?
Yeah.
How do
Neville
you spell this last name? Singham, right?
is, yeah. Singham. Let's see. I have it right
Singham.
here because I
Singham.
wanted to talk about Neville Roy Singham. Singham.
Yeah, Neville Singham, right? Singham is a Israel, a Jewish. Singham is a Jewish billionaire. He sold his high-tech company in 2017. He got a pay
Moved.
of
Yeah. He moved to
moved to
Shanghai.
China, right?
Yeah.
He got when he sold that company, he got a $785 million. And then he moved to China. He lived in Shanghai with his wife. His wife, I forgot her name,
She
but
was head of Code Pink.
yeah, she was the co-founder of Copink,
Code
right?
Pink. Yeah.
The so-called, pro peace,
And
organization.
Singham set up a company in Shanghai called the Maku Cultural Communication, a media company, which has stated that its mission is to tell China's story well, a slogan meaning to disseminate information that aligns with the CCP's narrative. So Singham is selling China to the world and funding dissent here in the United States.
Well, it's not only funding he's funding all the riots,
He's
right?
funding the riots, yes.
Yeah. Basically, he funded the pro Hamas protest. Like occupying the universities, right? And then all the activities that will blockade
Yeah.
the bridges, public transportations, airports,
You know the interesting thing about
and
that,
then
non
also he
okay.
funded all the actions, all the anti-ICE action.
Yes. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter it doesn't matter what the event is of the day. They're there with their red flags. I
yeah,
saw I
last
s-
you know, yeah, last year the ICE anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles, one
yeah.
of the organizations operating those anti-ICE operations, so-called nonprofit organizations, PSL, Party of Socialism and Liberation, and that organization got the money from Singham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Darren
And
Hood,
also, yeah, the pro-Hamas protest, behind that protest are the organization of People's Forum, right? People's Forum uh, behind, that got the money from Singham, and the PSL, Party of Socialism and Liberation, and both of these group, Parties of Socialism and Liberation and People's Forum, both of these organizations are behind the anti-ICE protest in Minnesota.
yep. Representative Darren LaHood of Illinois, who sits on the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, said that the Singham network is a sophisticated, multi-layered flow of capital funds that originate in Singham and Shanghai, move through his private LLCs, and then are transferred to a donor-advised fund. By the time the money reaches the end user, the original donor's name has been stripped away 3 or 4 times, and noted that the tax-exempt status of the nonprofits has provided a layer of legitimacy to the entire operation. This is a well-conceived and coordinated effort to destroy, to disassemble the United States of America.
Well, first of all, on the surface, he is a billionaire.
Yep.
He had the money to support all this operation, but I do not think so that
It's
he's
coming from the CCP.
yeah, I don't think he's using his personal wealth to support all these efforts, right?
He's a front man for the CCP.
Yeah, the money, I think it's from the CCP, but superficially, because he's a billionaire, he's using his own wealth to support all these anti-American. Now, keep in mind, in 1974, in his early life, of Singham, Singham in 1974 was already being investigated by FBI of.
Well, we're going to have to pick up a whole piece on Singham, you and I, on our next edition of China Now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Do you think it's possible that Xi Jinping and General Chang Yo-sha are engaged in a Mexican standoff? Could be. Stay tuned next week for more. Thanks, Nansu.
Thank you.